Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And I should mention, it is rare for us to find older Breguet watches that are full box and paper sets. This is one example, and you're looking at the extraordinary Breguet Classique 3477. So the 3477 is a perpetual calendar with equation of time and power reserve, and it has a beautiful symmetrical quality that many of these complicated classique models do not ordinarily boast. It is beautifully sized and proportioned. Rose gold in this example, 36.3 millimeters in diameter as we measure it. It is 8.1 millimeters thick and from lug tip to lug tip, 43 millimeters with an 18 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, some of you will ask, you can see we have that post-August 1st, 1995 hallmark on this watch. You can see the reference as well as the series number down here. And the watch is beautiful. Every Breguet with this particular lug design wears a little bit larger than its rated size. So don't think of this as a 36 so much as a 38 or a 39 in terms of how it fits on the wrist. All that said, once the strap breaks in and softens up, I could see this wearing well on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference, as long as your wrist is sort of flattish across the top. So this is a unisex option by modern standards, and it is quite thin with a domed bezel. It will slide underneath a dress cuff. The strap, you can see 18 millimeters is narrow, but we have a sort of traditionalist aesthetic thanks to that narrow lug spacing. Large and medium rectangular scale alligator leather in a lovely super dark, almost navy blue with a navy stitch. You can see the edge is folded, and on the bottom, calfskin. No crimping, no gouging. This is a Breguet factory strap in brand new condition. We've got a buckle to match. You can see there's a little bit of knurling externally. It's a friction fit. These two fit together like a plug-in socket to hold it together. Then we have a screw and a bar to fix the buckle to the strap, and then we have a screw and bar system to fix the strap to the case. So this is a more secure system than using a spring bar. I'm always happy to see it because I've seen some spring bar disasters in the past. When you have a screw and a bar system, it's a bit more expensive, but a watch like this deserves it. The lugs are welded on, and beautifully so. Welding a lug is an old school way of banking a case where you insert the lug into a slot in the case, weld them together, and then file to create a sharp break between lug and case. This is also a cold rolled case, so it was cold rolled to create the coining, and then it was finished in a jig to clean it up. The mid case is defined by the overlapping flange of the case back and the bezel. And you can see it is a modular complication as the center line of the crown is below the center line of the calendar corrector. So that's how you can always tell that. That said, this is a no-compromise watch. The dial is a disc of solid gold that has been cut on lathes, straight line machines and rose lathes, to create a lovely aesthetic. So it is a solid gold 18-karat dial that has been manually cut on rose and straight line lathes. So you can see it says guilloché main. So the idea being here that a guillocheur, or an artisan who guides and programs these lathes with cams, will create all these different cuts like the crosshatch of the center dial or the vague, the wave pattern of the subdials. Hands are steel, fired, beautifully blued. Of course, this is a distinctively Breguet style with the secret signature up around the 12 o'clock numeral. Not so much a secret today, and definitely not an anti-counterfeiting measure, but today it's more of a trademark, something that you expect to see on a Breguet watch. And the letters created using a pantograph to transcribe a large signature into a small one. What's going on here? Well, let's start with the perpetual calendar. You can see we have months at center, leap year adjacent, the date below, and then the day in an aperture up at the top. We have a 45-hour power reserve. This is the power reserve indicator, and this is the equation of time. So depending on the time of year, unlike, for example, equation of sunrise, sunset, this is not geographically proximate. So this is not something that's only going to work if you're in New York or Hong Kong or Rome. It's going to work everywhere as long as the watch is properly set. The perpetual calendar doesn't need to be corrected until the year 2100. And then the equation of time tells you the difference between solar noon, which is the time the sun is directly over your head, and mean time noon, which is the agreed upon time within one time zone when it is noon every place in that time zone. In other words, there is some variation within a time zone concerning when the sun is directly over the head of a person in those time zones. If you're very far to the east or the west, you'll find that the sun will actually be over your head at different times during the day, even though you are in the one zone. So for the sake of simplicity, we agree on a mean time. It is the same hour everywhere in the time zone. Now, there are 4 times each year when the sun will be directly overhead at the same time the clock reads noon. And those 4 times a year, the equation of time will indicate that there is 0 distance or 0 time between true overhead solar noon and mean noon. And so 4 times a year, this index will indicate 0. And the difference between true noon, that is sun overhead, and mean noon, that is clock time, it can be up to plus or minus 15 minutes per day. So that's what that's all about. Turn it over. We have Breguet caliber 502. Now, of course, because this watch has a 7 at the end of its reference number, that means we've got a display case back and, happily, a fully hand-engraved movement. Of course, this is based on the Breguet P71, which is sort of a 3/4 rotor, ultra-thin automatic. Now, the 3/4 rotor, the open barrel, the roughly 2.45 millimeter thickness allows this watch, though a modular complication, to still be thin. And you can see there's a florisant type of floral motif, up to and including full flowers on the back. No 2 of these will be exactly like us. The freehand engraving is not performed using a drill or a lathe or a laser. It's all done by hand-eye coordination with a burin. And so each one is an individual work of art. Technically speaking, that is from a mechanical standpoint, they will perform the same. You have the perpetual calendar, equation of time, the power reserve indicator, automatic winding. It's got a 45-hour power reserve, and it beats away at a 3 hertz beat rate, so 21,600 vibrations per hour. It pivots on 38 joules, as you can see. And then this has been upgraded with a free sprung balance, so a little bit more shock resistance, also easier to adjust precisely as variable inertia screws sit on the rim of the balance. That's how that works, and it beats away at 6 beats per second. Now, we also have other elements of finishing. We also have mirrored anglage, which you can see on the edge of these bridges, polished screw heads with chamfered slots in circumference, and then satination on the wheels below the bridges. So it is a comprehensively hand-decorated movement that represents something like the absolute best. You can see the rotor has been fully hand-skeletonized, internally beveled and engraved, and we have another flower petal motif right over the center of the rotor. This is the best of all possible worlds. A watch that fits beautifully, offers unmatched heritage and history, and considerable complication with a beautiful size and a full set. 30 meters water resistant, so splash only. Don't take it swimming, but you will be tempted to wear this watch all other times. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.